Want to listen to this episode ad-free? Head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and get a free trial for the ITBR professor level. And you can actually watch this episode as a video episode as well. While you're at it, did you know that on Spotify, we now have a subscription service for $10 a month? You get access to all of our ad-free episodes plus any bonus episodes. So make sure that you rate, review, and follow the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And follow Mary DePippi's show, True Crime in Academia, at True Crime in Academia. Thank you all for your support, and without further ado, here's today's episode.
Hey, true crime friends. Welcome back to another episode of True Crime in Academia. I am your host, Mary DePippi. I hope you all had a wonderful week this week and are looking forward to a relaxing weekend. I know I would be normally. To be honest, for me, this week has been an absolute shit show. Like dumpster fire, hot mess express, just absolutely horrid. And, you know, I have a busy weekend, so I'm looking forward to next week. And hopefully it will just all be better. I've also heard from other people that this week has been absolute hell for them as well. So if you are also one of those people, I feel you. It has been such a struggle this week. Oh my God. So one of the major things that was really throwing me off this week was that, so I have PMDD, and I've said this not necessarily here, but like I've just said it before in general, that they don't do enough research into it. And for me, I know how I experience it. And sometimes it shifts when it wants to come, and it depends on how much stress I'm under. And increasingly throughout this year, 2024, it's just been stress upon stress upon stress upon stress. And I think it all just came to a head. And for me, unfortunately, it really attacked my depression. And all I kept thinking was, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. You know, all the things. And it was really bad. I wouldn't say I had like suicidal thoughts, but just because thankfully I don't get to that type of place. However, I always get to a place where I wish I didn't exist. Which, like, while it's super painful to go through, because like I said, I have all the negative thoughts running around my head. And yeah, so it was just awful. I had to take a couple days the following week because I just needed to recover from everything, like all of the nasty things I was telling myself. Yeah, so that's PMDD, guys. But I am feeling better now, thankfully. So, you know, but that was one thing, like I said, that absolutely affected my week. And I just felt, even after, like, I took a personal day, and even after I came back from that personal day, I still felt like I hadn't fully recovered. You know, but I'm definitely in a better place now. So, you know, we just gotta, unfortunately, you know, life doesn't stop for these things. So, you know, you just kind of take moments when you can, you know, like I did. I took a personal day, and, you know, find a way to just kind of keep pushing on, you know? So, with that, let's get into the news update, where, it's just not going to get any better from there because, again, more horrid things happen. So on Thursday, I can't believe I have to say this now, it irks me, alleged predator Harvey Weinstein's rape conviction was overturned by New York's highest court. In a 4-3 opinion, the judges of the New York Court of Appeals overturned the depraved alleged predator's conviction of sex crimes against 3 women. They determined that the trial judge, quote, erroneously admitted testimony of uncharged, alleged prior sexual acts against persons other than the complainants of the underlying crimes, end quote. Now, in theory, the court and its judges are supposed to be unbiased, and I understand that. And I also understand that by allowing unverified information or accusations in court against people who aren't even there, or maybe are there, but not on the witness or not on trial, that's not unbiased, nor is it very fair. And also, by unverified, I just mean not legally proven in court, which makes me want to throw up. Because we all know that this alleged, but we all know he fucking did it, predator, gets to take advantage of this loophole. Most likely because he's rich. Yet, innocent, more poor people, or poorer people, would have to stay in jail. Ashley Judd and some of the other victims of Harvey Weinstein held a press conference that day. Judd stated, quote, I was in disbelief when I heard from Cody Cantor of the New York Times about the decision. It's a stark reminder of the male entitlement that persists in our society. But today, as every day, I stand in sisterhood with all the survivors, end quote. 42-year-old Jonathan Candy killed his wife, 39-year-old Lindsay Candy, in an altercation on Monday, April 22nd. If that wasn't bad enough, Mr. Candy then hunted down and killed 3 of their 4 children. Those children were 18-year-old Dylan Candy, 14-year-old Ethan Candy, and 12-year-old Lucas Candy. Oklahoma City police stated that the residence was a, quote, massacre, end quote. The 4th child and sole survivor called 911, who was actually in bed sleeping and woke up to discover that his family was dead. Thankfully, this child was unharmed and is under the care of a relative. Hopefully, this relative is able to provide all the tools to this 4th child because I can't even imagine. Just can't even imagine. That poor kid. Aside from the altercation, police have not shared a potential motive for the killings other than that. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact the homicide tip line at 405-297-1200. Again, that's the homicide tip line at 405-297-1200. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Again, that's 1-800-799-7233. Or go to thehotline.org. To end us on a sort of happy note, on Tuesday, St. George's Day, King Charles III bestowed a new title to Catherine, Princess of Wales, aka Kate Middleton. It's called the Royal Companion of the Order of the Companions of Honor. She is the first member of the royal family to be appointed to the order. Now, for context, the Order of the Companions of Honor was founded by King George V to recognize outstanding achievements in the sciences, medicine, public service, and other arts. Its 65 current members include some pretty prestigious, well, some prestigious people, but very people who make a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. Some prestigious, some not, some assholes. It's fine. These members include the prestigious Sir Elton John, Sir Paul McCartney, other politicians, singers, novelists, actors, and athletes. And then you have fucking J.K. Rowling. Yeah. Now, according to news outlets, this demonstrates the king's support for the princess, who we know has been a longtime supporter of the arts and a patron of the National Portrait Gallery, the V&A, and the Royal Photographic Society. All right, that is all I have for the news update. We're going to take a quick break, and we are going to get into this week's case, the murder of Anna Jones.
Are you looking for a new magazine to read where you can get so many book, film, and TV recommendations? Well, then you need to check out the Gay and Lesbian Review. The G&LR is a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features. Each issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme. So, for example, their new issue for May and June is called The Celluloid Fishbowl. And it's a nod to Vito Russo's 1981 book called The Celluloid Closet, which documented the flashes of LGBT content in movies before Stonewall when such content was strictly forbidden. So there's so many exciting articles in the May and June issue, including one by Andrew White called Queer Ghosts on Oscar Night that covers so many different LGBTQ films, both when the characters come out of the closet and what happens when characters are already openly queer and they don't need to come out of the closet, like we're seeing with so much of TV and film and literature right now. There's also an article by Andrew Holleran, the acclaimed writer of Dancer from the Dance, who actually reviews All of Us Strangers, which I can't wait to watch and has been much talked about. So please make sure that you use the Ivory Tower Boiler Room code ITBR50 when you go on glreview.org. You'll see on the right side it says subscribe. You can either subscribe for their digital edition, or if you're like me, I like to still get the magazine delivered as a print magazine. There's nothing just like having a print magazine in front of you. So use ITBR50 to get 50% off of your G&LR subscription. Yes, that's 50% off. So enjoy your reading. And please, if you are subscribing to the Gay and Lesbian Review, and if there's an article you really enjoyed, or a review you really liked, or a guest that you really want me to interview from the Gay and Lesbian Review, make sure that you DM me at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Happy reading, everyone. And thank you to the Gay and Lesbian Review for their sponsorship. Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I'm really excited to talk to you all about one of our ITBR sponsors, Broadview Press. Broadview Press is an independent academic publisher in the humanities that produces high-quality, pedagogically useful books for use in university and college classrooms. They publish mainly in English studies, writing, philosophy, and history. They are always publishing with an eye towards diversity, building a strong list of titles from women, people of color, and authors from other marginalized groups. If you haven't heard my Broadview Press interviews, you need to. Recently, I just had on Dr. Shannon Day, who talked about her book, Beyond the Binary, Thinking About Sex and Gender. And in the summer, I had on Dr. Jason Holt, who gave us all a comprehensive history of what it means to be a philosopher who studies sporting culture. And of course, we went back to ancient Greek literature, mythology, history to look at the roots of athleticism. And Last year, I had on Dr. Jeffrey Andrew Weinstock, who's actually going to be coming on the podcast soon to give his thoughts on the new Fall of the House of Usher Netflix series. He talked all about pop culture for beginners. And Broadview Press is offering an exclusive discount because of our sponsorship. So head to broadviewpress.com where you're going to see such a wide range of literature. Use the code Ivory Tower, IVORYTOWER for 20% off site wide all of their books. Again, it's broadviewpress.com. Enjoy your reading. Sorry for the interruption, but this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I have to talk to you all about the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Yes, you might be saying, but wait, aren't I listening to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room? You are. You're listening to the podcast. But when I'm not here in the podcast space, I'm actually consulting. So I have small businesses that I help consult with their social media marketing plan. I help fellow podcasters or those who are looking to go into podcasting. And I've also just met with a client, and I can't wait for her podcast to come out. So I've also helped those in the college admission process with their essay editing. I helped someone on her thesis and actually edited and helped consult her all the way through her thesis. I'll help you with your dissertation since I just got done my dissertation last summer. So you can reach out to me at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. Yes, I monitor my email every day. My first hour consultation is done virtually usually, and it's $30 for the first hour, and then we'll figure out what plan will work for you. So again, you can reach out to me via email, or you can also look me up on Google, Ivory Tower Boiler Room. You'll see my cell phone number there. Please do feel free to call me or DM me on Ivory Tower Boiler Room's Instagram.
Anna Jones was born sometime between 2005 and 2006 to parents Jessica Maxwell and Carl Jones. Now, not much is known about her home life, but it seemed that she had a very loving upbringing and was also very athletic. She participated in cheerleading, soccer, and track. Her family described her as a beautiful, sweet soul whose smile lit up a room. Her fellow classmates and school faculty considered her to be an outstanding student and friend. She graduated from Mount Zion High School as a member of the class of 2022. She was then accepted to the University of West Georgia and had plans to become a nurse because she really wanted to help people. She also had the hopes that a lot of women have to become a wife and mother as well. Now, I've said this on the podcast before. Obviously, murder or unexpected death at any age is extremely difficult for the loved ones left behind. But I'm saying, like, kind of taking yourself out of that and just looking at death and murder to certain age groups. And again, this is why I did this podcast, because obviously at any time in life, it is super tragic. But for me personally, I find murder and unexplained death of this age group, college students, I just find it to be so upsetting just because I feel, obviously there can be hope at any stage of life, but just the fact of what you're going through at that time, there is just normally so much hope. You're going to college or you're starting trade school and you're really working towards your future. And this is the first time you actually kind of have a say in it. Like, you applied to the colleges you wanted to go to. You're picking your major. These are very tangible things, again, that this age group gets to do and makes these decisions that will shape the outcome of their future. And to have it just cut so short, especially when you have all of these hopes and not to follow through. Like, it breaks my heart. On Saturday, July 30th, 2022, Anna Jones' life would tragically be cut short by a professor at the college she planned on attending. Now, I just want to make it clear this professor did not know who she was. We'll get into that in a second, but it's just the weird ass circumstance of this particular case. Now, she had gone downtown with some friends, and from what I could see in my research, it looks like they went to a restaurant called Heaven in Your Home Cooking. She then got in the car with her two friends because they had parked in a parking garage when shots were fired. 47-year-old University of West Virginia business lecturer and professor Richard, aka Rick Sigmund, shot out into the parking garage where, like I said, Anna Jones and her friends were parked, getting ready to leave. And of course, sadly, unfortunately, that is the nature of the podcast. That is why we're here. Sadly and tragically, one of the bullets hit Anna.
You've all heard me gush about Mandy Made It. Mandy Made It is a craft business, and it's actually owned by my friend Mandy Bengal, who I have known, married to Pippi has known. We all actually became best friends in Main Stage Center for the Arts summer theater camp. So I'm so proud of Mandy. First, she has an arts festival coming up on April 28th. It's called the Gloucester Township Arts Market and Green Fair. There are going to be art vendors, craft vendors, including Mandy, food trucks. It sounds so much fun. I actually am thinking maybe I'm going to attend. So it's in South Jersey, and it's April 28th, a Sunday from 10 to 3 p.m. So go over to @MandyMadeIt to find out more information about how you can attend the festival. And please, if you see Mandy, say, oh, I listened to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and that's how I know about your crochet company. So she makes so many wonderful items, especially because we're in the spring into summer. I know that she makes beautiful spring flowers that she crochets. She's made wonderful Pokemon inspired items. I know that my boyfriend, loves Pokemon Go, so this is a great item for him. I actually got my boyfriend a Mandy Made It Scream ghost face bouquet for Valentine's Day. He loved it. She makes wonderful Disney inspired items. She made me a Hocus Pocus bed and breakfast item, Snow White and the Evil Queen's poisoned apple item. I know she's made Married to Pippi so many true crime items. We're in talks right now to have her make some Ivory Tower Boiler Room crochet items. Make sure that you reach out to Mandy Made It. Let her know that you heard this ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. She loves knowing that you're listening to her ad on the podcast. And also, she'll give you an exclusive item @Mandy Made It on Instagram and Facebook. Spring has sprung here on Long Island, and I'm excited to talk about the Soapbox NY, a bath and body boutique located in historic Port Jefferson Village. My good friend Janine Cucci co-owns the Soapbox NY. Not only has she been on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast, but she's also been on my good friend Christian Garcia's podcast. So she gave me a special spring scent from her blending bar. You might ask, Andrew, what is the blending bar? Well, it's what makes the Soapbox NY so unique, in my opinion. They have over 200 essential oils that can be made into shower gel, bubble baths, shampoo, body lotion, an essential oil roller, or even perfume. So the first scent that I want to highlight is called Peony Blush Suede, an exquisite floral with delicate rose and honey accents and a subtle green freshness. The second is Mimosa and Tonka with notes of sweet golden mimosa mixed with creamy tonka bean. And the third is Spring Musk, green and fresh with notes of bergamot, orange blossom, and neroli, a clean and fresh musk. So head over to soapboxny.com to place your order. Make sure you follow the Soapbox NY on Instagram, where you also could DM Janine with any questions. And make sure you tell her that Andrew from Ivory Tower Boiler Room sent you. You've heard me gush over my friend Christian Garcia's podcast called That Old Gay Classic Cinema. Yes, Christian Garcia, who hosts the Smash Rewatch podcast series with me. Remember Smash, where they're putting on a Marilyn Monroe Broadway musical called Bombshell? Well, make sure you listen to our podcast series. His podcast is called That Old Gay Classic Cinema, and it is definitely meant for all of those Turner Classic movie lovers. So he looks at classic films with a queer lens. So think of him as a queer cinema professor of sorts. He actually had on co-owner of the Soapbox NY, Janine Cucci, to talk about Sunset Boulevard, which the three of us are just obsessed with Sunset Boulevard, and we can't wait for Nicole Scherzinger to be in the revival of Sunset Boulevard on Broadway. He also has episodes about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Strangers on a Train. Now that definitely is a queer homoerotic film. The Philadelphia Story, Meet Me in St. Louis, Beauty and the Beast, Sweet Charity, Psycho, Mary Poppins, Hello Dolly, The Wizard of Oz, Vertigo, which I actually was on, and 101 Dalmatians, and the list can go on and on and on. So make sure that you listen to That Old Gay Classic Cinema wherever you get podcasts, like Spotify or Apple. Follow Christian on Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema, and he also has a TikTok. And please make sure that you reach out to him and let him know that you heard this ad on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Happy podcast listening. Sorry for the podcast interruption, but this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, and I wanted to talk to you all more about the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So I co-founded ITBR almost 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in August. And it started as a podcast. So welcome, everyone who's listening to the podcast. This was my baby, and I'm going to continue offering the podcast to you all. I love all of the genres and categories that we have here in the ITBR, including Mary's True Crime and Academia show. So not only is ITBR a podcast, but I also offer different consulting services. So I have podcast consulting. So if you're creating a podcast, you already are a podcaster and you want to expand your social media reach, especially you want to learn about TikTok, Instagram, X, different YouTube strategies, which I'm even building my YouTube show right now. Please reach out to me for consulting with your podcast. Or if you are a small business and you want me to help you with some ideas on how to up your social media game, I've really helped out the Soapbox NY in Port Jefferson on Long Island. You can definitely reach out to me about any small business social media marketing as well. And I also help with college admission essay editing. The season is coming soon. So, make sure you reach out to me. And already, if you want me to start helping consult on the college admission process, I'd be happy to. I also can help you with dissertation thesis editing. And I now am also self-publishing my dissertation. So I'm in the midst of editing too. So I'm in a good headspace to help with editing. Okay, if you want to book me for any of these services, all of my initial consultation meetings, the first hour is always $30 an hour. And I also have book club services with Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So there's been a wonderful group in the Ivory Tower Boiler Room who meet once a month. And right now there's a poll going out about two books, The Book of Gothel by Mary McMinn or Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates. So go to ivorytowerboilerroom.com and scroll down to events and make sure you fill out which book you want to read for the end of May. Okay, for any questions you have about my consulting or to contact me to book me, go to ivorytowerboilerroom.com or email me ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com or even message me at Ivory Tower Boiler Room on Instagram. Okay, back to the episode. A special thank you to the April Virtual Book Club members. We read Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and I'm going to be releasing that book club episode soon on our Patreon because if you're a Patreon member, you actually can listen back to our book club discussions, which is really exciting. And thank you to the book club members for allowing that to happen. So, for May, I actually have a poll up right now on ivorytowerboilerroom.com. Scroll down to events and you'll see that neck and neck. It really is neck and neck. Right now, the two books are either The Book of Gothel by Mary McMinn, which is a retelling of Rapunzel, but from Gothel, Mother Gothel's viewpoint, who's seen as a villain, similar to Elphaba and Wicked, or we're going to read Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates, which fictionalizes Marilyn Monroe's life and is what the Netflix film was based on. So please get your votes in as soon as possible, and I'll announce the winner on May 1st. But again, it's not necessarily a winner because I think we're going to read the other book in June since it is so close. And it's such a heated contest for which book we're going to read. And also, you can put in a book that you recommend for us to read, and I'm definitely going to take that into account. Let's just say we might be reading The Great Gatsby this summer because I think we're going to see it on Broadway.
Thankfully, one of Anna's friends was the one who was driving, so they were able to get her to the Tanner Medical Center in Carlton, Georgia. Carlton PD were notified of a gunshot wound from the medical center and were called there at around 12:30 a.m. Anna would be pronounced dead shortly after her arrival. According to police records and statements from press releases, police said that Sigmund was intoxicated and in possession of a handgun at the time. He had gotten into an argument with another man at an Italian restaurant called Leopold's. Sigmund threatened to shoot the man when he was arguing with him, and the man then went to security and informed him of Sigmund's threat, like most normal people would. I mean, I'm not going to get into gun control, but like, these are not, like, people who get this belligerently drunk should not be allowed to have weapons. Just throwing it out there for shit like this, especially angry belligerents, like belligerently drunk people. Like, come on now. Ridiculous. But of course, I mean, what else was this guy going to do? So he told security. When security approached Sigmund, they immediately see his weapon and they ask him to leave. Shockingly, Sigmund obliges without causing any sort of scene, from my understanding, and leaves. This is where he goes to the parking garage. Once in the parking garage, he pulled out his weapon and walked up to the car where Anna and her friends were in and tapped on their window. Of course, they were frightened because he has a weapon. The girls attempted to drive away, and that's when Sigmund decided to open fire. He fired approximately 3 shots. One of them hit Anna in the head while she was occupying the front passenger seat. I can't even imagine what her friend who was driving was going through at that time. I mean, kudos to him or her, because it doesn't say, but, you know, to have the calmness and to have the wherewithal to know that that's what you need to do and just get out of there as quickly as possible. You know, I mean, thank God, because could you imagine if someone had froze? You know, this would be an entirely different story, but, you know, I'm just kudos, not even kudos, but just that friend is incredibly brave and just, oh my God, I can't. Like, it's so impressive to me for people who can function and do what needs to be done in such high stress, high trauma situations like this. Sigmund was arrested and charged with the possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of murder. He pleaded guilty. And I feel like this is obvious to say, but then again, like we all know, academia does what it wants and not always in a good way. The University of Georgia, or West Georgia, did fire him immediately after they found out about this. Like, not because he was arrested, but like that I think even because he was implicated in it. So, you know, good job, but also like, you know, y'all should just be firing people who commit crimes. Just throwing it out there. On October 30th, 2023, a judge sentenced him to life in prison plus 55 years. However, they're giving him the stupid-ass possibility of parole because of some law in Georgia that says he will have the possibility of parole after a mandatory period of 30 years. So, you know what? He's 47 now. He's going to be 77 by the time, or 79, probably 78 by the time he gets out. So, I mean, that's old enough, but like if he's still alive at that point, I don't care if he's old and frail. I don't want that asshole out on the streets. He should have just been in there for life, or at least hopefully he stays there. But, you know, you never know. You just never know. I feel like parole hearings are usually pretty strict and like not very willing to get people out, but there's always that one. And I just hope he's not that one, because like I said, he deserves to rot in that cell for what he did. All right, my loves, that is all I have for you for today. Please don't forget to follow True Crime in Academia on social media at True Crime in Academia on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, and at TC in Academia on X. Again, if you want to listen to this episode ad-free, go to patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room and become a subscriber today. All right, darlings, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great work week this week. It needs to be better. It just does. And we can only go up for here, all right? That's actually what my hairdresser said to me today. So shout out to Allison. But yeah, so until next time, my loves, I will see you all later.